Welcome to the NoodlKnits podcast. I'm Z, and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as NoodlKnits. That is NoodlKnits. That's all one word, no E. I am still in Oklahoma this week. I will be leaving on Friday morning, which is a little bittersweet. I don't get to see my family all that often because we live quite far from them. So on the one hand, I'm really going to miss my family. But on the other hand, I am excited to see my husband and have my child back. Because since we've been here, he's a completely different person. There's just a lot going on and it's a different place. So he's been a little hectic. A couple things that I would like to start out this week with. This week has been kind of hectic and crazy, even though it kind of also feels like nothing has happened. But I would like to go ahead and say a huge thank you to all of the people who have been watching and who have subscribed. I have 26 subscribers on YouTube, and that is just so amazing. And last week's episode almost has 100 views. It's at 91, and that is just incredible to me. That I never thought that this would be anything like that. I kind of thought that this little thing would be something that I did for fun, and that it was really just for me, kind of like a video diary, and that it wasn't really like, I wasn't expecting to get people watching it, but and to have subscribers is so incredibly surreal. And just a huge thank you to Mina from the Knitting Expat podcast. She mentioned me this week in her episode, and it was so incredible that I at a loss for words for it. Thank you so much, Mina. It was amazing to hear you say such lovely and wonderful things about me, and I really appreciate it. And if you don't, I've talked about her podcast before, and if you don't watch it, I have her blog linked in my show notes, which I already wrote today. This is like my third or fourth attempt at filming this. Today was just way too hectic. All of the kids were kind of clashing heads today, so it is 8:48 in the evening on June 9th, and I'll probably post it tomorrow, June 10th, but I try to film these in the morning or early afternoon because the natural light is really good. Like, you can see kind of this lamp is not natural, and then computer screen light over here, but it just was not happening today, so kind of a late recording, but it's quiet and it works, so I don't remember why I brought that up, but thank you, Mina. And oh yeah, I've got it linked in my show notes, and my show notes are already completely written, so I've actually got a full set of show notes this week versus last week was just, that doesn't even count as show notes, and I apologize for that, but I'm not going to go back and fix it. That sounds like a lot of work. And since this has kind of blossomed into a thing, I guess, where I have subscribers and people who are watching, I went ahead and created a Ravelry group. You can find it and go to the groups tab on Ravelry and search NoodlKnits podcast. Like I said earlier, that's NoodlKnits, all one word, no E. And that's linked in my show notes too. Yeah. And okay, so that's all. And then I'll talk about the rest of whatever happened this week at the end, so that if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to. Okay, so I only have 2 FOs this week. One of them was something that I was almost done with last week when I filmed. So, and then I have 1 whip, which I've been working on for far too long. Okay, so my first FO is, this is what I showed you guys last week. garter ear flap hat. It doesn't have a tassel yet. I'm going to add a tassel when my friend finds out the gender of her baby. This hat is a little bit shorter than the other one I made, this like lengthwise, but I think it'll be okay for a newborn. And it's NoodlKnits Brava in cream. And I used up all of that. All I have left of that, oh, I don't even have anything left of that. I guess I used it on, I think I used it as stuffing for something. And my one other FO is this guy. This is my wisdom tooth. I haven't given him a name yet. I used the Moe's Molar pattern, which was free on Ravelry by Maureen Geelan. There were other patterns, like there was a tooth fairy pillow pattern on NoodlKnits that just seemed like more difficult than it needed to be. So I found this one and I was like, well, this one's super simple because all you do is cast on 60 DPNs, knit, I think it was like 27 rows from top to bottom, turn it inside out, do four corner X seam, which my corners are a little, they aren't all even, but it doesn't look terrible. Well, where was that? There we go. And then you do, I think, one set of decreases, then divide for the roots, and put, you know, one half of the roots on a stitch holder, knit and decrease, and then do the other side and then embroider a face. And I decided to do a little goofy face. I'll tell you more about why at the end, or why I made the tooth. So those are my only two. Oh, and he is made with Caron, or Caron, I don't know. I think Simply Soft. I don't know what color. It was just something I dug through my mom's stash to find. She let me use, he didn't take up very much yarn, so she kind of just let me use some of that out of her stash. And his face is NoodlKnits Brava in black, and he is actually stuffed with yarn for the parts that needed shaping, like the crown and the feet, or the root points, and in all of the middle where he just needed stuffing is a pair of socks that my dad had put in his giveaway pile, and I just cut them up and stuffed him. So he's kind of dense and heavy, but it works, so it's not a big deal. And then my one current whip is the same whip that I had last week, the Hermione Everyday Sock with Volumvine in Stellar Banshee. Okay, I've got my 2-inch cuff of ribbing, 1x1 rib, and then I've done one knit round, and I'm about to start my 4-row pattern repeat. So that's my one and only whip so far. I'm really dying to start a new pair of socks, and which actually I'll go ahead and talk about my new yummy yarny goodness so that I can tell you why I'm dying to start a new pair of socks. I managed to go on Saturday to a yarn shop here in Oklahoma City, which is really not that far from my parents' house. If you live in Oklahoma City, it is on the corner of Britton and May. There's a little shopping center right there at that intersection, and it's in like the corner of that little shopping center. And I highly recommend you go there. It's a fairly large yarn shop, to me at least, but I don't really have a whole lot to compare it to, since the only other yarn shop I've ever been to is the Knitting Fairy on Grand Prairie, and it's really very, very small. But to me, this place was quite large, and they were very well organized and well marked, I guess. I can't think of the word, but just everything was organized really well, and all of the shelves where they had different weights had like a little sign that said what weight it was, and they had a whole wall of sock yarn, and then it said sock up on the wall, and it was just very, very well done. And the second I walked in, someone greeted me and asked me if I needed help, asked me what I was looking for, and they're very, very friendly and very, very helpful. And they had such a huge selection. I was kind of surprised to see they had Regia and Opal were two things that I thought that I was going to for sure have to order online. But they had them in stock in the store, and I thought that was awesome. And they had baby Regia and Regia Design Line, and then just like I guess the regular Regia stripes or whatever. And they had some Opal. They didn't have a whole lot of Opal. And then they had Cascade, like all kinds of Cascade. Cascade acrylic worsted and Cascade heritage sock and lace Cascade and Cascade patterns, which is I guess similar to the Regia Design Line. It makes like a faux fair isle. They just were loaded up. They had Malabrigo sock and Madeline Tosh sock, and I've spent a whole lot of time looking at sock yarn, but they just had a lot of just a huge selection. My mom walked around kind of browsing for a little bit. They even had a pretty decent clearance section. I didn't really find anything in there that I wanted, but she kind of looked around and found some stuff she liked. I don't think she actually bought anything because she was looking for something specific, but they just had a huge variety and I loved it, and I will definitely be going back. I'll be back here in Oklahoma for Christmas, so I'll definitely be going back there on that trip, and then anytime I come back I'll definitely be going there to see what they have in stock. And if you live in or around Oklahoma City, I highly recommend you go. It's just, if you haven't gone already, I'm sure if you're a knitter and you live in Oklahoma City, you've probably already been there. It's the Gourmet Yarn Company. I didn't say that, but it's the Gourmet Yarn Company. And if you're going to be traveling through Oklahoma City or visiting Oklahoma City, again, I recommend you go. It's a nice shop, and all the staff there that I talked to was very friendly and helpful. And they had a little sign over the cash register that said, "Your husband called. He said you could buy anything you wanted." And I thought that was hilarious. So I took a picture of it and sent it to my husband, and I'll probably post the picture in the show notes. Just because it was very funny. I think I still have it. Anyways, I did not buy everything that I wanted because, you know, travel money, limited funds, but I was really looking at some Malabrigo and Madeline Tosh, thinking that maybe I could get some for the Blom shawl by Melody of the Mandarins podcast, but Madeline Tosh is like $22.50, and I mean that's even the price you would find online, so I didn't feel like spending that. And the Blom shawl is like a 2-skein shawl, so I didn't feel like doing that this time. So I think maybe like if I'm going to buy Madeline Tosh and Malabrigo, I'm going to have a pattern that I'm like planning that is maybe 1 or 2 skeins, and I'm going to have that money set aside and know that I'm going to spend a chunk of money on some yarn for this specific thing. I'm going to have to do that if I'm ever going to talk myself into trying those yarns, which I definitely do want to. Anyways, I went in there specifically, I've already showed you guys this yarn a lot of times, specifically looking for a contrast color, for a contrast heel and toe for this sock, because I don't feel like having striped socks on this yarn. This is the Knit Picks Felicie in the Time Traveler colorway. So I went in there and told them that that's what I wanted, and they found this for me. They showed me several different things, but this was the one I fell in love with. And with the light, it's really not that neon. It's picking up the color really well, it's just making it look a lot brighter than it really is. It's a little bit not so vibrant. That's better. That's about the color it is. Maybe a little bit darker. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And this is the Cascade Heritage Sock in the and the ball band just says color 5685. But my receipt that they gave me says that it is the Dahlia colorway. D-A-H-L-I-A, Dahlia colorway. And it is not a perfect match to this purple in these stripes, but I think it'll still look good. So, and that's just, and I mean, they offered, it was a hank, and they offered to cake it up for me, and I thought, I mean, that was the first time I've ever been to a yarn shop that did that. I know a lot of yarn shops do it. That was the first time I've ever been to a yarn shop that did it. And my mom was a little surprised that they caked it up for free. And I just think that's great customer service to offer to cake a hank for someone, especially since I'm traveling and I don't have my Swift and I don't even have a ball winder. My balls never look this beautiful, so I thought that was awesome. And the other thing that I bought, which was, this was like an internal struggle of trying to decide if I was going to buy this or something else. I kind of felt like it was a sign that they had it, so I went ahead and bought it so that I don't have to order it later. And I may order more later. But I went ahead, and a lot of podcasters have been talking about the Regia, Arnie, and Carlos design line. So I felt like I had to get some. And this, the ball tag says that it is 03655. And my receipt says that it is the Fall Night colorway. And this will kind of shows you what it'll look like knit up. So it's a faux fair isle, which I think is so cool. And it's not really like as soft as, like, these two are both extremely soft and smooshy. They're both 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And this is 437 yards for 100 grams. And so these are both really soft and smooshy. This one's really smooshy, but it's soft. It's just not as soft as a superwash merino. Or not superwash, I'm sorry. It's not as soft as a merino. And it says that it is 75% virgin wool, and it says it in like all these different languages, which is kind of cool. I don't know if it's gonna show you that, but all of this says 75%, and then in all these different languages it says virgin wool, so that's cool. And then it's 25% polyamide, so not nylon, but I'm sure that's very similar. And this is a 100-gram skein, and this one is 460 yards. So this one's 437 and this one's 460, which is honestly, I think, more than enough for a pair of socks, and I'll have some left over. Maybe enough for a 2-year-old's pair of socks, who knows. And this says it is machine washable up to 40 degrees Celsius, which I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. But, I don't know, I think 40 degrees Celsius is pretty warm. So that, and it says no felting. It says it's dryer proof and hard wearing. I'm assuming the polyamide is what makes it hard wearing. Like with nylon makes things hard wearing. And it was very well priced at $16.95 US for a skein for 460 yards. I think that's pretty good. And so I don't know. I was really excited to find that. And 40 degrees Celsius is 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So you could even wash it on like a warm setting. That's awesome. And I'm really excited to knit these socks, and my mom is really excited to see what they look like, and she really wants me to start them so she can see them, what they'll look like. So I may start those tonight, and I'm very excited about them. It is soft, and I think it'll be a lot softer after it's been washed and blocked, but a lot of yarn does that, gets softer as it's washed and blocked, so yeah. It's not itchy. This one is just, I mean, merino wool is always going to be softer compared to most wools, so. But it is so smooshy and squishy and just yum. I'm very excited about that one. And I mean, it's a Regia, and I was really not expecting to be able to find a Regia in a store in the US. So I'll definitely be going back to the store to see if they have other Regias later. Oh, the one other thing I got while I was at that store, sorry about the bag noises. I got a pair of Addi Turbo sock rockets. Made in Germany. US one, which is a 2.25 millimeter, 40-inch cable. And this is their first time out of the bag, so their cord is going to be really coiled and, you know, really, but I think there's a fly bugging me. They're going to be pretty flexible. I don't know if you can tell, but they have this really pretty, like, clear blue, like light clear blue cord. And they are metal. Let me see. Nickel plated coating. So they're metal, but I guess since they're so small, they don't feel cold. Like I've said before, I like metal needles because I'm not a particularly tight knitter, but I like to knit fast, and so metal needles are good for that. But I like my Knitter's Pride Dreams because even though they have a little stickiness, they're quite smooth and they're warm because they're wood. They aren't cold. But I guess since these are so small, they aren't cold. The back of my package says, these Sock Rockets needles combine the sharper tip of the Addi Turbo lace needle, which it is pretty pointy, but it's not terrible. I feel like I've had pointier needles, so I don't think this is going to kill me if I accidentally like press on it over and over. I accidentally like press it to get my stitches off sometimes. Combine the sharper tip of the Addi Turbo lace needle with the slick nickel-plated coating of the classic Turbo needle, resulting in the perfect needle to make sock knitting faster and easier. So, I've been wanting to try the Addi Turbos. I've heard a lot of good things about them. And I've also been really wanting to try a sock on Magic Loop. So now's my chance. And I got a US one because I have found that a sock knit on a size 1 needle with 60 stitches fits really well. So. And I'd also like to see about doing a sock yarn blanket using this, like a mitred square sock yarn blanket using this. A lot of those patterns call for a size 2 or 3, but I'm going to try it on this, and if it doesn't work or I don't like the fabric it's making, then I'll buy another needle. But that is all of my new squishy goodness. Yummy yarny goodness. And I'd really like to kind of put my Hermione Everyday sock aside for a minute because now I have all this new yarn that I'd like to try. And I am excited to knit. I'm going to knit a plain vanilla sock with a Fish Lips Kiss heel for both. For this one, it's going to have the contrast heel and toe, which I've never done before, but I don't think will be hard. I'm assuming it's just like doing stripes. So how hard can that be? And then but that'll be a plain vanilla Fish Lips Kiss heel, contrast heel and toe. And then the Arnie and Carlos will be a vanilla sock Fish Lips Kiss heel. I just love my Fish Lips Kiss heel. And I'm thinking that since I have 437 yards of that cascade, that is more than enough, I think, to do a contrast heel and toe and then the Rose City Rollers socks. So I think that's what I'm going to do with that. And I think also on that one I'm going to do a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I'm just going to not follow, it's just going to be bad. Do lots of Fish Lips heels. So those are a couple of things in my ideas box. And then my other one is one I talked about last time, but I've decided on it. Hi, I know this is completely random having a whole different little segment that is different lighting, different day, different clothes, but I was doing my editing this morning and there was just this whole little segment that had way too much noise over my voice, and it was really strange. It was kind of like I was moving stuff around or something was tapping up against the microphone repeatedly, and I don't know what was causing it because I wasn't moving. I mean, like I watched it and I could tell that I wasn't moving in it, so I have no idea what that was, but it was way too much noise just to publish and say, oh well. So I decided to just be awkward and refilm that segment. So all I had said was that I am planning on doing the Rodeo Drive poncho by Stacy Perry of Very Pink Knits. I have the Ravelry page for this pattern linked in my show notes, and I am very excited about it to make it. It's very gorgeous and I'm really looking forward to knitting it. And the pattern calls for Knit Picks Capra DK, which is 85% merino wool and 15% cashmere. And that's pretty luxurious wool, but I mean, it being Knit Picks, it's pretty affordable for being cashmere. Cashmere's usually really expensive and this isn't that bad. So now I'll send you back to last night. Sorry for being awkward. And so I decided to do it. I mean, it's Knit Picks, so it's pretty affordable. It's like $7.99 US for, and I mean, for something with cashmere in it, that's not bad. It's only 50 grams, but still, it's not bad for cashmere. So I've decided to go ahead and do it out of that. So I'm going to use Knit Picks Capra DK in the wine colorway, which is a very deep burgundy red, and it's very pretty. And I've been talking about it a lot to my mom and my grandmother, and now I feel like I really have to make it, and I'd really love to have it made in time for it to be done when I come back for Christmas, so that I can show it off at Christmas. But seeing how the yarn for that is going to be like $80, I don't know how doable that is, but I don't think it'd be terrible. I think it'd be okay. I think I'd be able to do it. I might have to buy a longer needle. It calls for a size 7 and I have a size 7, but assuming I get gauge, I might have to buy new needles, who knows. But I don't think it'd be terrible. And that's all for my ideas, I think. Check. Make sure I don't have anything else yarny to talk about. Yeah, I guess that's all for knitting. I kind of went through that really fast. But like I said, this is my third or fourth time trying to film this, so I've kind of already been through it several times. So I've really been able to hone it down, and without like a million interruptions, it's going really fast. So I guess this is going to be a short episode this week too, even with acquisitions and 2 finished objects. Okay, now I already said that I started a Ravelry group, so I guess we'll go on to a week in the life of, and if you are not very interested in my like home life, I guess, non-knitting life, then I hope you have a great week, and I totally understand that you don't care about my personal life because you don't know me and who cares, but so I hope you have a great week and happy knitting. Okay, so on to the personal stuff. Like I said, this week feels like it's just been hectic, even though I feel like we haven't really done a whole lot. I went to the dentist because my mom heard that, you know, I've got my wisdom teeth, and my insurance is, there's no wait time for me to get small things done like cavities filled and stuff like that, but if I want anything bigger, like a extraction or procedure or anything, it's a 1-year wait period. And that would be fine, except that these ones down here have a gap between my molars and my wisdom teeth, and so like when I'm eating, food kind of gets stuck in there and it hurts, and I can get the food out, but it causes me like an irritation until I get that food out, which if you go out to eat is something you have to wait until you get home. And so I was talking to a friend at work, and her friend was like, well, my husband could take a look at it and we could like work out a deal or something. So I went on Friday expecting to just get x-rays, which is what my mom thought was going to happen. She thought I was just going to have x-rays done and they would see, you know, have a consult kind of thing and then make an appointment for a later time this week. So I go in and I get my x-rays done, and then I sit down for the consult, and he comes in and he says, well, your bottom wisdom teeth are really gnarly. And I saw the x-rays, and they are in completely horizontal, like, you know, all of your teeth go this way, like up and down. These ones way back here are completely laying like this, and my roots are this way, and then the teeth are this way. And I think it's on this side, the tooth is kind of trying to grow around another tooth, and then the roots on them are like hooked roots. You know, this is what a tooth's roots are supposed to look like. They're supposed to be straight, and mine are hooked on these wisdom teeth, so they are just bad. And he said, I'm not going to be able to take those out. Those are surgical. You have to go somewhere and have them surgically removed. He said what I can do is fix your cavities, because those will be really easy, which, I mean, he did them in like 10 minutes probably. They were so fast and easy. And he said, and if you want me to, I can pull your top ones, because they were in and formed the right way and in the right way. So he said those would be really easy to pull, and I could do those for you, and that way you won't be mashing food down into that gap. So that can help you out a little bit. And I said, you know, I kind of thought about it and I was kind of hesitant. But I said, yeah, go ahead, pull those teeth. So if it'll help me. So he did, and I actually have the teeth. And I posted a picture on my personal Facebook. I didn't want to post it on Instagram because I know some of the people on my Instagram are just there for the knitting, and I didn't want to unintentionally gross everybody out. And I don't care if I gross out my family and friends. They got to see my gnarly teeth. But at the risk of grossing someone out, their roots on those were bad. They were ugly, ugly. I mean, they did not look anything like this, where it's all pretty and even. They were just, I don't even know how to, it's kind of cool to look at them though, because they look like monster teeth, because they're just awkward, gnarly, to use his word. So I've been kind of drugged up from like Friday to Sunday. So I actually started this thing Friday evening and didn't finish him until yesterday, which was Monday. Because I only got a couple of rows done on him, and then on Monday I was like, why is it taking me so long to finish this? And I sat down and finished it in like an hour. Because he was really super easy, but I had been so drugged up and in pain, which today I've been in a lot of pain too, but I mean, I'm healing, and it's mostly giving me headaches more than anything, but just been kind of laying around and trying my hardest to eat. Chewing with my front teeth, which is awkward and not fun. And then on Sunday we had like a little party for a great-grandmother. She turned 91. So happy birthday, Nanny. And it was just, that's just something that really made the weekend feel kind of hectic, was that I was groggy and grumpy and in pain. So, but that doctor is Dr. Drew Hendricks. I really thought he was a very good dentist. I have never really disliked any of the dentists I've seen, but I really did like him. He's very friendly, and I think asked me about my son. He's a family friend, so he, you know, kind of talked to me about my parents and asked me what my hobbies are. I told him I'm a knitter and I like to podcast, and he made a joke about me talking about him on my podcast, and I was already planning on it because I was getting teeth pulled. I mean, come on, it's a big deal. But he just made it very friendly while being professional. And he told me that when he was in dental school, he would work at the free clinic doing volunteer work and pulling teeth, so he'd had a lot of experience pulling teeth, and he did a really good job of making me feel safe and like I was in capable hands, and did a very good job of making me aware of what he was going to do and how it was going to feel and the things that I was going to hear, because dental work just sounds dangerous and scary. But I definitely recommend him if you're going to. I don't know what his practice was called. I think he works with another doctor and it's the doctor's practice, but it's Dr. Drew Hendricks, and he was a good dentist, and if I lived here I would go back to him, which I wish we lived here in Oklahoma City. I've always loved Oklahoma City since I was, since my parents moved out here. I've loved it. I think it's a beautiful city, and I mean, there are rundown parts of it, but there are rundown parts of any city, and I just really love Oklahoma City, and I've always loved it, and I would love to live here one day. And I'd probably never get my husband to want to live out here. I'd never be able to talk him into it, but it's something that I would personally like to do one day, is live out here and be closer to my family and be in this city. But and like I said, we'll be leaving Friday morning, and I kind of wish, for whatever reason, coming from Dallas to Oklahoma, your train always leaves Dallas, or Fort Worth, sorry. Your train always leaves Fort Worth in the evening, like early evening, like at 5:30ish, and then arrives in Oklahoma like around 9:30ish. And then when you're leaving Oklahoma City back to Fort Worth, you leave Oklahoma City at like 8 in the morning and get to Fort Worth like around noon, 12:30. And that drives me crazy. I really wish that I could get here around 12:30 and then leave here at 5:30 in the evening, because that would just give me like optimal time to spend with my family. But for whatever reason, they've got it that way, and I just have to deal with it. So we'll be leaving Friday morning, and a friend of mine is going to pick me up from the train station, and I'll get to spend some time with her. I haven't seen her in like a year. She lives in Fort Worth, or just outside of Fort Worth, and I don't get to see her very often. So I'm excited to get to visit with her. And I am excited to see my husband and have my son back, but I am really going to miss my family, and it's going to be like 6 months until I get to see them again. So, but they'll do the Christmas gift exchange draw at the end of July, and I'll get to start knitting for whoever we've got. And hopefully whoever I get will like socks, because that'd be fun to really knit some socks for a family member. Let me see what else is on my notes. I already talked about the yarn shop. That's the Gourmet Yarn Company. That's linked in, their website is linked in my show notes. I guess that's it. That's all I've got. Thank you all again for 26 subscribers and almost 100 views of episode 3. I really appreciate it. It really, really, really means a lot, and I've been so proud that all weekend I have been messaging or texting my husband and my friend and my mother-in-law and just jabbering my mom and dad's ears off about how many subscribers I have, what different countries I'm getting blog views from. I forced my dad to watch the segment from the knitting expat that Mina was talking about me, and he kind of had this look on his face like, that's cool, but I don't really care. But I'm sure he's proud of me, but still, it was just very exciting. So thank you all. Thank you so much. And please join the Ravelry group. I'd love to communicate and interact with the people who are watching. I love to make new friends, so please introduce yourself and feel free to ask any questions or make any suggestions you have. And this will probably be posted tomorrow on the 10th. So it'll go live on the 10th. So I'm not gonna edit that tonight. I'm gonna go spend time with my parents and watch TV and probably knit up on my Reggio socks. So I hope the rest of you, whoever stayed, have a great week. I will probably podcast next week. It just kind of, I guess, depends on how the week is going, but I'll be home, so hopefully we settle back into being home fairly quickly and easily, and I'll podcast then. And have a great week. I hope you find time to knit. I hope you are blessed with new yarn. And happy knitting. Bye.